Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Celtic Way morning briefing. Today is Thursday, it's the 25th of January. Clock is ticking on the January transfer window, and I made a deadline day signing. I know he was on his day off today, but he's came up trumps and he's joined me on the morning briefing. Of course, it's Tony Haggerty who joins me on the Celtic Way morning briefing that is live on Facebook, X, and YouTube. Thank you to everybody that's joined us so far. Tony, how are you doing this morning? And once again, thank you very much for coming on your day.
It's a pleasure. I don't even think about it, young man. It's fine. We help each other out, don't we? You do a lot of stuff for me, so a lot of stuff that people don't see technology-wise and all that. So yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. Yeah, well, I was good. So our Spanish team threw a spanner in works and threw everybody out of kilter.
Yeah, Spanish spanner. But before we get on to talking about that very team that have apparently, judging by Sky Sports reports, lodged a loan with an obligation to buy offer for one of Celtic's best players, arguably Celtic's best player this season. In fact, I don't even think there's an arguing about it. He is Celtic's best player this season. He's the heartbeat. First of all, I need to talk about our sponsors today, as always, who are MPH Group. They are Scotland's award-winning family-run all-trade specialists, and they cover all of mainland Scotland. Winter is definitely here, and if you're thinking of giving your home heating system a boost, then MPH has an enticing Navien Boiler Winter Promotion just for you. When you opt for a boiler installation through MPH Boilers, not only are you choosing top-tier efficiency, but you're also getting a free Navien Internet Controller that can crank your boiler's efficiency to an impressive 98%. They're also covering the first year's services with no added costs. They even offer flexible finance options, so gear up for the chill that's very much here and consider making a smart move with MPH and Navien. And before we talk any further, I just need to bring up the bottom of the screen two things. Please subscribe to the Celtic Way website, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. There's analysis pieces, opinion pieces, pre and post match analysis. And also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I had a wee look this morning. We are under 100 subscribers away from 9,000. We're at something like 8,901 or something like that. So under 100 before we get to 9,000. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the YouTube. It has been growing exponentially thanks to Hamish and thanks to maybe more quality content that's coming through as well. We can't do it without you. Please continue to support the YouTube channel and press that subscribe button. Completely free, and you'll get notifications as to when we go live throughout the week. Tony, why don't we talk about the elephant in the room? The Danish elephant or Spanish elephant in the room, you could call it. I thought yesterday was going to be quite a quiet one. I wasn't expecting too many transfer incomings or outgoings or any news in the way of that. Maybe a signing would come through. Maybe there was a rumour. But there was a rumour, but maybe not in the rumour that we would have wanted. Matt ORiley, Celtic's star player, the star midfielder who's been scoring goals and making assists this season, has been linked with Atletico Madrid. I guess I'll just give the floor to you. What's your opinion on this so far? It's kind of came out of nowhere, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's left field. I put a tweet out yesterday, Ryan, and I dusted down something that I said during the season that shall not be named, and I'll say it again. I put out memo to the Celtic board, and I was talking about this window, January window. Matt ORiley is untouchable, and he's unsellable. And I said, if they sell Matt ORiley, then sadly I'll be dusting down these words once again. And I said it at the time, a couple of years ago. Where there is harmony, we maybe bring discord. Where there is truth, may we bring error. And where there is faith, may we bring doubt. Because that's exactly what the Celtic board are going to do here. And if they do the unthinkable and sell Matt ORiley, it'll just be like the season that shall not be named. And you then put their sayings to the test that no club wants to sell their prize assets in January. So why are Celtic even contemplating thinking about it? I can handle it in the summer, but I can handle it even more in the summer if Celtic will win the title. They ain't going to win the title if they start asset stripping and selling guys like Matt ORiley, because they are in a title race. Rangers ain't going away. They went to Easter Road last night. Granted, Hibs were ranked rotten and they won very comfortably. So you're now down to 5, and they've got another game in hand which would chop your lead at the top to 2. So you have to assume that it will be 2 points. And for Celtic to even let that be known, that because that's a warning shot over the bow. That's them saying, listen, this guy is going to be sold. We knew it was a question of when. We're all realists. We understand that, but they cannot contemplate selling Celtic's best player of the season in this window to Atletico Madrid. I don't know what Spanish is for do one, but I think Celtic ought to be dusting down that phrase as well. And any other English clubs that are interested, the player signed a deal recently. He said he's happy. Stay happy to the end of the season and then to the highest bidder. But this is, yesterday it was quite kind of distressing for a lot of Celtic supporters that those kind of things would even be entertained. It should have been laughed out the park and put to bed. But now you're hearing all sorts of stuff that it's loan option to buy, the price is 20 million, yada, yada, yada. It's... and again, we try and say things about the Celtic board and we do, clap them and say good things about them when they do good things. This is just, I just can't contemplate why they would contemplate even entertaining anything like this. And it'll say a lot about the ambitions of Celtic in the next few days if Matt O'Reilly remains a Celtic player, because it's too late to do anything about it. If he goes, you're not going to get a replacement in. And I don't even think they would invest any money. And anyway, it's a loan option to buy, so you wouldn't get any money for him until such times when the summer comes. So, nah.
For me,
go on, Ryan, sorry.
That would suit Atletico Madrid if they don't have to pay anything, but they still get the player. Because due to the... And I know Celtic have used this option as well. They have, for financial reasons, they'll loan a player in and then they'll have an obligatory buy at the end of the season once their financials are in the right place. But that's okay for £1-2 million players. I know it's different on the other side. Maybe the Japanese teams that Celtic have been doing business with, that would hurt them domestically. But for Celtic to lose an asset for essentially nothing until the summer, and with no real means to replace him, I think that would be catastrophic. I don't think it will happen, but
no,
I know people in the comments are maybe moaning about it, but it's been a story. It's been the story that's been dominating Celtic for the past 24 hours, I would say. He's Celtic's best player, as I've said numerous times already on this podcast this morning. I think it would be catastrophic if Celtic were to let him go. I think he's more important than basically every other player at this point in time, out with, when everybody's on form, maybe McGregor or Kyogo. Matt O'Reilly's been the star this season. He's been the star in Scotland, the shining light for Celtic in that midfield. He's had to do 2 jobs at once, sometimes 3 jobs in one, with Hatate being missing and Cal McGregor being off form in some games. The main point that I wanted to make was it makes no sense to do it now either when, football is on the cusp of having a European Championship in the summer. I think Matt O'Reilly will be in that squad in the summer. I don't know if he'll start games, but he'll definitely be in that squad come the summer. I think it would be madness for him not to be. But yeah, if he has a good Euros, then his fee will skyrocket because of that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, big teams don't really watch the Scottish Premiership. They'll watch a player in Europe. Atletico Madrid are in for him purely because of what he did against Atletico Madrid at home in Europe. They've got the evidence there. Now is not the time to lose your best player. It would have to take a mammoth offer. Like, I'm talking 30-40 million before Celtic would even think about selling them. There's got to be a tax on it, just due to the fact that if it was to happen, the fact that Celtic would be shortchanged because of the lack of personnel, they would have to replace him in the team. I don't think it will happen, but at the same time, I think it will happen in the summer. And I'm braced for that, but I'm not braced for it in January.
I don't think it will happen. I think Celtic will tell them to do one, as I said. They should. You just don't trust the Celtic board, do you, though? They've got form. And I'm not in a panic about it. I just wish they would have put it to bed yesterday and said under no circumstances is he for sale in this window, and then come back to us in the summer after the Euros and all that, and and he will go to the Euros with Denmark, and he will, his value will increase. So, but I'm not panicked as such. But as I say, the Celtic board, you just don't trust trust them, do you? And again, to even contemplate it, you're playing Russian roulette with 60 million quid here, basically. That's what you're doing. And you're encouraging Atletico Madrid to maybe come back in and say, well, do you know what? How's about we give you X amount of millions now and don't have the loan option to buy in the countdown to the end of the window. This was supposedly about Celtic getting their deadwood out, or those who were surplus to requirements, getting guys on loan who might come back and do you a turn. It wasn't about selling your prize assets or entering into any kind of conversation about that. As we say, we're both men of the world. We're both football realists. We understand this is a shot over the bow, a warning shot to say, look, this guy, the likelihood of him being here in the summer is, it's
It's the reason why
negligible,
he
isn't
signed a
it?
new deal,
Yeah,
because they're
yeah,
braced for it.
yeah. Okay, but not now. You just cannot do it now. And it's just the Celtic way, isn't it? It's just nothing's ever smooth. Nothing ever runs comfortable. There's always a but clause, isn't there? Whenever things are going well, you think things are going well. There's always that coming, isn't there? There's a
It's
slap in the
football.
dish. They do something. Yeah, I guess it's football, but I think Fergus McCann was right. Being a Celtic supporter is hard at times, but it's always worthwhile. They certainly put you through the emotional ringer, the Celtic board, during a transfer window, because this one has been the biggest. The feeling that you have from it is underwhelming, to say the least. And I'm choosing my words carefully here, Ryan. So underwhelming. You need a left back, you need a striker, technically you need a goalkeeper, and
You go and sign a right winger.
you signed a right winger. To quote the manager, at one point, we've got 1 million wingers. So, someone has to come out and make it all make sense. The manager's speaking later today, isn't he? Might get some more clarity on it, some more meat on the bones on it, and be interesting. Everybody will be tuning in to hear what he says with bated breath about Matt O'Reilly. The one thing that gives me great hope, confidence, and inspiration is that Matt O'Reilly's really happy. This is not Matt O'Reilly agitating for this kind of move, So I think Matt O'Reilly would be perfectly happy to stay until the summer and then see what's out there.
I think there'll be a mutual understanding that will happen in the summer, and I know, I'm just taking it as face value, but everything that Matt O'Reilly, the way that Matt O'Reilly's conducted himself since becoming a Celtic player has been nothing short of exemplary. He is the model, he is the standard for every young player coming through as a 22, 23-year-old. I know he joined the club as a 21-year-old, he's been there for a couple of years now. The way he conducts himself on the pitch, he hardly picks up bookings, he scores a lot of goals, makes a lot of assists. Off the pitch, he does his Pilates, he does his yoga. I just think he's and the way he does press conferences as well. I think he's a model footballer. I don't think he would be one that'd be agitating for a move, because he knows his trajectory is high as a player. He is the flavour of the month, or he has been the flavour of the month for a few months now. But I don't think he'll be pushing for a move. He knows he's got guaranteed game time at Celtic. He knows that the same vultures that are circling now will continue to circle in the summer. Maybe even more of them may come about if he does well in the European Championships. But he knows there will be interest in the summer. If he continues to do well at Celtic and continues to impress, can win the remaining 2 trophies with Celtic, then I think there'll be a mutual partner of the ways for a lot of money between Celtic and whoever the highest bidder is. But right now, his best place is at Celtic, and it's important that he stays there and contributes to what is hopefully a double winning team.
These guys at the top table sit there at the AGM and they profess to be the biggest Celtic fans going, right? They always tell you that they're as big a Celtic fan as you or I. They're not. They're money men. That's how they're at the top table. And I get that. But now and again, you have to act like a supporter. Read the room. The mood music. I talk about mood music a lot, Ryan. And act like a support. You if you're such a supporter, then you're allowed to be a supporter while sitting in your high chair. It's not all about pound, shilling and pence, because the Celtic supporters invest their money hand over fist to support this club. We don't have a sense of entitlement, but we demand standards, and a standard is a gold bar standard. That's what we like, getting at high standards, and we ask them at times to think like us. I know it's hard for them, because at the end of the day, it's a business, and pounds, shillings, and pence is all that they care about. But Celtic fans care about this club deeply. It's in their heart, it's in their soul, and yet every year the men in grey suits tell us that no, we feel you. We're just like you. We just happen to be the custodians, and we'll act like it. They still made a statement yesterday saying, Atletico Madrid, see you later. And to any other potential bidder in the last few days of the window, away you go. Right? Matt O'Reilly's perfectly happy here. He said it himself. The manager wants to keep him. He's not for sale. And then you go to the summer and you realise, fine. Now, this story came, I think it was Steve McGowan from the Daily Mail that had the story, wasn't it? On Sky as well, wasn't it?
It was Sky Sport. Lyle Cameron, who's one of the chief reporters at Sky Sports.
So it's not came from nowhere. And again, you say, who's behind this? What's the machinations behind it? You're in a title race. You're going for the third successive title in a row to take you into the newly revamped Champions League, and all the money and all the prestige that comes with that. So, this is, and to enter into the last few days of the window with this negative cloud hanging over you, Ryan, we'll say it right now, there is not a chance that Celtic will sign MD before this transfer window ends. Permanently, that is. Maybe getting cut of loan deals, but
unless they give Jesse Lingard a call or something like that. He's been a free agent for a while.
It's all smoke and mirrors to deflect from the fact that they're only done one piece of business, a right winger, and now you're in a panic. And then if Matt O'Reilly stays, then the feeling will be, they did well there to keep him. They think your head zips up the back at times. And as I say, I'm being very couched in my language, and what you're saying, because you're on a podcast, but I implored them during the season that shall not be named to act like supporters, act like they care. Well, because we care. It's the Celtic supporters that bear the brunt. The real rank and file supporters that bear the brunt of this, waking up with the thought of, wow, the businessmen and the money men at the club would even enter into those discussions to sell the best player of the season in January, when we constantly get told it's a hard window, clubs won't part with their best players. Why even enter into that conversation? That's been slapped down as soon as it reared its ugly head. Matt O'Reilly's contracted to Celtic, he's going nowhere. And then in the summer, all bets were off, because we're, as I say, we can read the room. We see the music, we hear it. So I just and again, I'm not panicking, because the bottom line is, Ryan, it doesn't matter what you or I say on this. The Celtic board will do what they want, and still maintain that they're acting in the best interests of the club. I'm not so sure.
Mm. I heard an interesting. I was watching Sky Sports News yesterday before the football came on last night. Watching two games at one time, always difficult. And they were talking about the very same thing that you were talking about, how a lot of teams use the phrase, it's a hard window to negotiate and it's a hard window to navigate as well. Also heard the fact that only one Premier League side has made a permanent signing this January, and it was Spurs. For that defender that they signed from Italy. I know they get Timo Werner on loan. All the rest of the moves have been, I think, either small development fees or loan deals. So it does show that, I think a lot more teams are a bit more apprehensive to do business in the January window. They'd much rather wait. I think financial fair play is also playing a big part in things as well. The fact that if you overspend, as Everton, Nottingham Forest, and potentially Man City and Chelsea, you will get docked points. The fact that there's that argument there is, or that threat is there, is stopping a lot of teams from doing a lot of big business in January. I think the days of, your Fernando Torreses and Andy Carroll and Luis Suarez are probably over. But for Celtic, they've got to improve in areas that, are clearly not strong enough. Left back. How long have we been talking about a left back coming into the club? Is that maybe a year now? Ever since we probably seen Bernabei play for the first time, we were like, not sure if he's necessarily the answer. That's two managers that have thought the same. He's had very, very limited game time. Looked at it last night. Bernabei has only played 71 minutes of football this season, in the first half of this season. 3.75 million. It's not looking good for Bernabei in terms of his first team opportunities and him being a first pick. But how long have we been talking about this? We're on the 25th of January now. There's only 5-6 days left of the window. Time is ticking, and there's no fresh rumours. The Owen Beck story on Saturday was one that I think got a lot of people excited, but that was shot down within about 5-6 hours because he came on the pitch for Liverpool. Since then, there's been absolutely no new links whatsoever. Is this just what's going to happen now? Is there going to be nobody coming? Is it just going to be a right winger when Celtic needed a striker and a left back?
Certainly smacks of it. These are the very same people that told you at the AGM that they aim to come out of every window stronger than they went into it. Any evidence of that in this window? With 60 million at stake, and you're, and a title at stake.
It feels to me like it's an unnecessary gamble here. I can't shake that feeling that I've got. I thought that Celtic, maybe it was naive of me to think so, but I presumed that Celtic would go into this window and strengthen just to ensure, to pretty much ensure the league would be back in their hands. They've got a credible. I think it's fair to say they've got a credible opposition in terms of the title race in Rangers. I think they will push Celtic to the wire this season. I know Celtic have won the 2 Glasgow derbies thus far, but they made light work of Hibs at Easter Road last night, and Celtic struggled at Easter Road earlier on in the season. You've got to take these results into account. I just think if Celtic improve in a couple of areas, they'll be absolutely fine this season. But they're gambling, and they can't be gambling with 60 million. And I don't understand it.
I look at it, Ryan, and I think, who's going to take points off Celtic or Rangers? None of the teams are good enough. So they're going to do it to each other, aren't they? And
Tony, I'm not as confident with Celtic, in those away games against Kilmarnock. You go to Easter Road, you go to Pittodrie potentially. I just think that this...
So if you think Celtic are going to drop points, then they're going to blow the title. Yeah, you were in. Yeah, but you were in a position of strength, financial strength, because again, the same people who sat at that top table told you that they had money, rainy day slush fund money, and made a big song and dance about the fact that they were in the pink, as they say, in terms of their finances. So again, I get back to it. You're not asking for the earth here, but you're asking to strengthen in the positions that you and I can see, the manager can see, and they've brought in one player, underwhelming, and I think if they sold Matt O'Reilly, that would just be a crushing blow. Every time you think that the Celtic board and the club's taking strides forward and you put faith in them, it's the old Who song, isn't it? We won't get fooled again. But they constantly, Celtic supporters constantly do, because the board keep doing it. And as I've said, we praised the board during Andy's tenure for doing their business early, and we bigged them up, Michael Nicholson et al. But they have to really, really, they've got, 6 days, 7 days, I think it ends in February the 1st, doesn't it? To look themselves in the mirror and say, have Celtic going to come out this window stronger at the end of it than they did going into it? And if this is the sum token of their work over this window, then the answers are a resounding no. It's as underwhelming as it's ever been, and it has shades and echoes of, again, that season that shall not be named. And you are in a title fight, a titanic title fight, and as you say, you're starting to worry now that Celtic will spill more points. And, they in the past, maybe you would have cut them some slack, but this time they had the wherewithal, the financial wherewithal to do it, to do something about it in certain key areas and key positions. And again, I get back to it. It's not a sense of entitlement, but you expect Celtic to provide the fans with a high standard of footballer and players capable of retaining that title. And you're worried about that at this moment in time with the business that Celtic have done. You won't be alone. You won't be the only Celtic supporter thinking like that. And the whole negativity surrounding the past couple of days, and it'll wear on right down to when the window shuts. And as you say, there's no new speculation about incomings. There's no speculation about outgoings as well from some of the players that, this was, again, you trim the fat from the squad and get guys out, loans and game time.
That's a serious problem. A very, very serious problem.
Of course it is.
How many players have left the club? Adiguchi, he was pretty much on the fringes anyway. Who else? Kobayashi's staying at the club, it looks like.
Conor Montgomery have gone on.
Conor Montgomery have gone. That's good. Good to see them getting game time. Hopefully, Con has a good game on Saturday afternoon. That'd be a big help. A big help in the reclamation of the title, or the
James McCarthy's still here.
James McCarthy's still here. Turnbull's got 6 months left in his deal. Yeah. He can speak to any club regarding his future. I don't think his future is at Celtic, so I don't see why Celtic don't try and move him on at this point. There's players that just are not going to make an impact whatsoever. It was the window to trim the fat of the team and clear some of the deadwood. I hate calling it deadwood because it's real people that you're talking about and they're footballers trying to make a living, but at the same time there's players that are not contributing to Celtic whatsoever. Bernabe, 3.75 million, not contributing. He'll be on a good wage. McCarthy will be on a good wage. Kobayashi will be on a decent wage. All of this money could be used towards an elite player that could be the difference between Celtic winning and losing. I know Matt O'Reilly is one of those elite players that will be the difference this season, I reckon. Won't go anywhere till the summer, but these links, you don't like to see them. I'd much rather have quality than quantity with these players. There's too many that just are not contributing whatsoever, and they need to be moved on, quite frankly.
Yeah, and you're facing a window where allegedly, if you're going to believe the fees attached to your rivals bringing in players, that you're supposed to, have vastly superior finances to them, but conceivably they could turn out to spend more money than you in the window.
4.5 million if Diamandi comes through the door.
Somebody has to make that make sense to me, Ryan. At Celtic, they have to come out and tell us why. And I think most people now see through it all, can cut through the lies, and I was saying that we won't get fooled again, but they won't get fooled because the Celtic supporters are they're an intelligent bunch. You just need to take the sample on here who comment. They're wise. They're wise people, but
they're honestly, they're wise to it now.
Aye, they're wise to it and have been for some time, and it's staggering how none of this has been shot down. Certainly the Matt O'Reilly stuff, and it's staggering the way Celtic have staggered the whole of January window and made one signing in a position where we're kind of well stocked. And again, another guy who couldn't come in and hit the ground running because he wasn't quite ready. What's the deal with that as well? I think Kuhn might be involved this weekend. We're hoping, but there's no guarantee of that, is there?
He hadn't played in 4 or 5 weeks, and there was also some talk about some dental work that he had done as well, so he was recovering from that.
Okay.
But 4 or 5 weeks, if you sign a player from Austria or Germany, that they're not going to be ready instantly because they have a winter break. They have a massive winter break. And it's something that I advocate for. I think that teams should have a winter break. That's maybe another discussion point we can talk about in another day. The fact that the winter break's been scrapped because of the expanded Champions League format. That's going to have negative effects on players come the end of the season or the second half of next season. But I want to sort of steer the podcast. Maybe we'll go on for another 10 minutes or so. I want to talk about the fact that, he wasn't playing in the last game against Buckie Thistle, but there'll be no doubt about it. He'll be playing on Saturday. How big a boost is it having Callum McGregor back in that Celtic side? I know it didn't matter against Buckie Thistle, and the players that came into the team, such as Odin Thiago Holm, Paulo Bernardo, Matt O'Reilly was in there as well. They did an admirable job. But how good is it knowing that Celtic's captain has had an extended break? He probably hasn't had this in a long, long time, this amount of time off, not playing football. He'll be back, he'll be fresh, and he's ready to attack the second half of the season.
He probably didn't want it. You know what he's like? But enforced break, saying like, listen, but you have to protect.
He's probably the sort of guy that would go to the gym on holiday.
Yeah.
He's just that sort of, he's a consummate professional.
I go back to that clip when Joe Hart was asked to sing a Celtic song, and the first one he came up with was the Callum McGregor song. Tells you everything you need to know about both people, both consummate professionals. And I wrote the other day, we were talking about Daniel Kelly and Rocco Vata, possibly in the fledgling stages of their Celtic careers. There's a role model there, the man that's came through the academy and ticked every box along the way, and then some. And if you're looking for a shining light and an example, Callum McGregor's your man. You run out of superlatives to describe Callum McGregor. You really are. And the Celtic supporters probably, when he's gone, might not fondly remember him as much as they did a Paul McStay or a Scott Brown. But I will, because I just think he's been a superb player for Celtic. And I'm not being disparaging about it. I'm just talking about perception, but Callum McGregor's been absolutely fantastic. And when you think he followed in the footsteps of captain, leader, legend, and he's written his own skipper story with Celtic, and there is not a part of me that does not love what Callum McGregor brings to that football club. And and I just hope that he can go on and on and on, because I know he's now 30, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
But and being rested for those very reasons, Ryan. But you'll bet your bottom dollar that conversation probably didn't go down too well when the manager says, "Look, I'm thinking of resting you," and he probably went, "No, I want to play." And the manager like, "Look, trust me, go and get some rest." And and someone in the comments has just said there that Callum McGregor's been very loyal to. Yeah, that as well. I get all that, but just everything about he ticks every box for me, and I'll remember him as fondly as I did the likes of Paul McStay and Scott Brown and others. I just think he's a wonderful footballer and a wonderful example to any young aspiring and budding footballers. I think Celtic have got lots of them in their team, but the two in particular for me who are the consummate pros are Callum McGregor and Matt O'Reilly. See any aspiring young footballer wanting to model their game or base their game or look up to anybody, particularly in green and white, I would say those are the two who I would be saying, yep, that's who I want to emulate or I would want to be like. So, yeah, and it's great to have him back. You missed him, didn't you? Remember they missed him for a period and then he came on at Pittodrie and scored that wonder goal in the last minute. It's just, and I've said to you before, it's not, people say, what will you remember most about Callum McGregor? I remember that day at Ibrox when he just charged forward and Celtic scored from that passage of play. That was a guy saying, we've not started right here. Come on. Even the celebrations were muted after it. And it was like, right, we're back in the game. 1-0 down after 3 minutes, level after 7. And I looked at him that day and I thought, wow, just give me the ball. It was just, that way you're at school and you're a kind of, you might have been the best player. Give me the ball. I'll do something here. You know, you run through and you score, or you make something happen. Great players make something happen, and they make things happen when you need them most. And I looked at Callum McGregor that day, and I knew that was a captain that didn't want to get beat, and didn't even want a draw. He was going to win, and he did it again in the 1-0 game when Celtic fans were locked out. And he steps up to the plate every time against the rivals. You've coined that phrase. He understands the assignment. Callum McGregor's understood the assignment ever since he reached the Celtic first team, and long may that continue.
Already a legend of the club, but talking about one legend to the club to the other, I know that you wanted to discuss somebody that sadly is no longer with us. He passed away 2 years ago. Of course, the former Celtic manager. He was only there for a season, but I think he's every bit a legend, and he was one that paved the way for Celtic as we know it in the modern day. He was so important. Of course, we're talking about Wim Jansen, a player a man that single-handedly forged a friendship, it seems, between Feyenoord and Celtic that seems to be there and will be there forevermore. He came in off the back of Rangers winning 9 successive titles. They were going for 10 in a row. He was the one to stop it. He's credited with many things, one of them being the fact that he unearthed a clause in Henrik Larsson's contract, one of the best clauses in modern football history. I'll probably give the floor to you because you were there at that point, probably watching the team at that point as well. So what are your thoughts on Wim Jansen? Obviously, he passed away 2 years ago today.
I think a lot of Celtic supporters, Wim Jansen would have given them their greatest ever moment, shattering the 10. My old man was beside himself with the thought that Rangers would beat Jock Stein's record because Jock Stein's his hero. And I genuinely thought that season I was going to lose my father because he got himself worked up into a state of high dough, and he has high blood pressure at the best of times. And I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. And it forms the basis of the tribute that I did, and we'll put it up on the site for those who... But
I'll put it on the homepage as well, so everybody can have a wee look at it.
On the day Celtic were playing St Johnstone, I was starting out my journalistic career, so that tells you how long ago it was. So I was covering St Mirren for the Paisley Gazette della Sport, as I called it, or the Paisley Gazette, and also for the Daily Record. And so I was at Love Street, the old Love Street, watching St Mirren play Dundee in a kind of end-of-season fair game. And so my father and my brother went to Celtic Park, but they could only get one ticket. And to this day, I chide my brother because he took the ticket. They tossed for it. My brother won the toss, grabbed the ticket and legged it, and left my dad in the Forge car park, McDonald's, a nervous wreck. And I mean a nervous wreck. So...
Did they not get a ticket for that back in the day?
No, I didn't get a ticket, no. So
you would get a ticket now in the Forge for that?
One ticket between the two of them, right? And so my brother took it. So, raging, not a word. But anyway, so I'm at Love Street. My brother's there. My dad's in the car park at the Forge. And so obviously Henrik Larsson scores. So I know Celtic are winning. And then it's not until, 20 minutes to go. Harold Brackback scores, right? I couldn't tell you what happened in the St Mirren Dundee game. I was watching, but I wasn't seeing, right? I think St Mirren won 1-0. Don't ask me who scored. But we to do all the stuff at the end, as you do. And so it finishes, the game finishes, and I do all the stuff. You go downstairs, speak to managers, speak to players. And by that time, my brother and my father, they've come to Paisley to pick me up because I didn't drive at the time. And I leave the old Love Street, go into the car park, the big car park, and the two of them are standing against the car. And I walk towards them, and there's other journalists coming out and didn't care. And we had a mock huddle, and we just jumped about and went absolutely tonto, screaming, shouting, greeting, going off on that, absolutely mental. And I was just so happy that my old man was still alive. They proceed to tell me how the story of how my brother went, he didn't, and I was nearly losing the plot. But we were just jumping around and going absolutely crazy. And all the other journalists saw us, and as I say, we didn't mind. And in a moment of ESP, we just sort of looked at each other. And the three of us went like that with a mock glass to Wim Jansen. And that's all we said. And we all just burst out laughing. And so I wrote in the piece that I will always, on the anniversary of his death, phone my father and my brother and drink to Wim Jansen, because he did. It was the mother of all titles. You can talk about important Premiership titles or important league wins. That was the mother of all titles. Paul Lambert always says it as well, and he always says that there's maybe not enough tribute by way of memorabilia inside Celtic Park to Wim Jansen, but I tell you what, he was there a year, but he is a legend.
Pick a year, eh?
Yeah,
What a year to do it.
both at home and with Celtic. I mean, a stellar career as well. Played against Celtic's 70 European Cup final. Played in the 78 World Cup final as well for Holland. Just a total out-and-out football man. And if you don't believe me, believe Johan Cruyff, who said Wim Jansen was one of the three people that he could listen to most about football. Never named the other two. And him and also Murdo McLeod, who understood the assignment, Ryan. The two of them were just the perfect management team for Celtic at that time. And Paul Lambert will tell you that Wim Jansen never batted an eyelid. He never did much press, so I'd never had any dealings with him. But he said he was the epitome of calmness, which is what Celtic needed in that season. And I just, whenever I think about him, I just think of that moment. It's at Love Street when the three of us just sort of went to Wim Jansen, and always, whenever I say his name, it's first thing that comes to my mind. And the wonderful player that Henrik Larsson was, he brought him 650 grand. The steal of the century. It's the biggest bargain in Celtic's history. Name me another. And the 7 wonderful years that we got on the back of that. Wim Jansen made that happen. He made stopping of the 10 happen. And for that, he will always be remembered by the Celtic supporters, lauded and praised and saluted and put on a pedestal. Because I'm not so sure that any other managers could have won it, Ryan. I'm really not. And he just came and he did it his way. And, really sad circumstances the way he sadly passed away as well with dementia. But listen, I don't think there's a Celtic supporter alive who doesn't owe the man a debt of gratitude for the emotional ringer that they were put through that season, but for the happiest of endings for that day against St Johnstone and, Bratback's goal. Bratback gets slaughtered a lot, but he didn't miss when it mattered either.
Very true. I was about at the time, but I would have been about 7-8 months old.
But you were here. You were in the building, yeah.
Yeah, I would have probably had a top on or something. But
you would have had one of those I'm the best dribbler at Celtic Park bibs or something. Yeah, one of those.
Possibly. But yeah, two years ago, Wim Jansen passed. We send best wishes to his family. He'll never be forgotten in the eyes of the Celtic support and everybody that covers Celtic as well. Such an important figure in the modern day Celtic, and I think he started something that's still going on to this day. The success had to get some amount of success to begin with. I know Tommy Burns won a trophy, but Wim Jansen was the one that got the league back. And from there on, apart from a few wee instances, Celtic have been pretty special in the Premiership. But Tony, thank you very much for joining me this morning. I really do appreciate it, especially on your day off. You got to tell your Wim Jansen stories as well, which is always good. We will be back on tomorrow. Hamish will be back on alongside myself and Tony to discuss and preview the Ross County game on Saturday. The fixtures will come thick and fast, and we're looking forward to covering everything to do with Celtic. Once again, can we just say thank you to MPH Group and Navien for sponsoring this video. All the links will be in the description after this video. And please subscribe to the Celtic Way website, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. on there this morning. There is a shot efficiency piece from Alan Morrison. Really interesting stuff regarding Celtic's accuracy in front of goals and their XG as well. So if you're interested in that, then please give it a look. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, as we are under 100 subscribers away from breaking the 9,000 barrier. Really, really be good if we could do this over the next couple of weeks. If you haven't made an account yet, please do so and get subscribing, and you will be notified as to when we go live, both with pre-recorded videos, live streams, post-match analysis, pre-match analysis as well, and everything in between. So yeah, please subscribe and you'll get instant access to all of that. Tony, thank you very much for joining me.
I just want to say one thing and urge everybody on the podcast today just to take a moment today and raise a glass to Wim Jansen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all will, and we'll all have our own thought. I think I'll be watching that Celtic St Johnstone game at some point tonight, and in tribute to the great man. Thank you very much, Tony, for joining me. Thank you everybody in the comments. Sorry we couldn't bring up as many as we could today. We'll be back tomorrow to discuss the Ross County game. But until then, have a very good day, guys. Cheers.